She sold worms as indomie, part 1.
Stella woke up that morning feeling very good. This is going to be a good day, she whispered to herself, smiling. She carried her freshly made indomie to the village market to sell as usual. Before she arrived at her stall, hungry customers were already lined up. Mothers were waiting to buy the indomie for their children who were going to school that morning. Stella's indomie was the best. It had a taste that drew people like magic, and the aroma could be perceived from miles away. Her indomie was like breakfast for the whole village, and anyone who went a day without her indomie felt unfulfilled. However, behind the tasty meal and irresistible aroma lay a dark, sinister secret. Stella's indomie wasn't ordinary. It was mixed with a special ingredient unknown to the villagers who licked their plates without thinking twice. Stella usually prepared her indomie at night when everyone was asleep. It was a perfect time for her to perform her rituals without anyone suspecting or seeing her. As she stirred the indomie on the fire, she would add worms she had gotten from dead bodies and animals. These worms, laced with her dark magic, made her indomie so tasty and irresistible. However, they were very poisonous. Each time a customer swallowed the worm, it would start to eat their intestine, draining their strength and vitality. The worms didn't kill them, but made them grow older and very weak. Little children who ate the indomie grew faster than their age and became more rebellious to their parents and obedient to only Stella. Each time a child misbehaved, their parents would threaten to report them to Stella, and they would immediately stop in their tracks. But parents didn't even bother to know why their children respected only Stella. Stella continued to sell her indomie to the villagers and established several other businesses in the village, and in no time, she became a beloved figure in the community. The more wealth she acquired, the weaker the villagers become. But no one suspected anything. Instead, they queried her any day she failed to come to the village to sell her indomie. Things continued like this until a widow named Amina suspected something wrong was going on in the village. She was a very hard-working woman, and ever since her husband died, she had become the breadwinner in her family. She had 2 children. She was very principled and didn't eat outside like others. In fact, she taught her kids the importance of homemade food. Amina took it upon herself to discover why the villagers were suddenly becoming weak. Instead of going to the farm, they would sit at Stella's shop eating her indomie from morning till night. She suspected the problem would definitely be from Stella's indomie and decided to conduct an investigation. The next day, she went straight to Stella's shop to buy a plate of her indomie, but to her greatest surprise, Stella refused to sell to her. "The indomie is finished, madam. I only reserve indomie for my top customers. Please leave my shop," Stella shouted at her. Amina left without saying a word. She already knew that something was definitely wrong, and Stella obviously suspected her. That's why she refused to sell to her. But Amina was determined to discover the truth. Months later, as Stella continued to plague the villagers with her evil indomie, Amina decided it was time to set things right. That day, she waited until Stella was done selling and followed her carefully to her house. Amina hid by the bush until it was 12 midnight, the perfect time when witches conducted their rituals. She learned spiritual works from her late husband, who was the village herbalist at his time. So, she was already advanced with the activities of witches. At exactly 12 midnight, she saw Stella sneaking out of her house, holding a black nylon. She waited until Stella had gone farther away before following her. She followed her into a thick forest where dead human bodies and animals were dumped. Amina watched in shock as Stella scooped worms into her black nylon. The sight was very disgusting, as some of the worms were already decayed and smelling. After collecting enough worms, Stella headed back to her house. Unknown to her, Amina had been watching her all along. Amina followed Stella back to her house that night to find out exactly what she wanted to do with the worms. She didn't want to believe that Stella used the worms to cook her indomie. Immediately she got to her hut, Amina hid by the window, watching Stella through a small opening. Stella brought out the worms, and as usual, she poured them into a small calabash and sprinkled her magic oil on them to remove the awful smell. After that, she poured them into the indomie on the fire and stirred it thoroughly.